Okay. All right. So we learned that if we are missing a side of a right triangle, we can find the missing side using any of these functions. This is for a missing side. When we have this, we are given an angle measure. We are given an angle measure. Okay. When we're not given an angle measure, if we're not given an angle measure, we use these functions. Okay. So this is when you have a missing angle. You're going to be given two sides. You're going to be given two sides, and you have to find the angle. Okay. You're going to be given.
Are we always given two sides?
Sometimes you're given three sides, but you have to have at least two. Yes. Okay. All right. So we're going to find the missing piece in each triangle. So I'm going to set these up in such a way that we are going to, first of all, talk about it. Are we missing an angle or are we missing a side? Yes, we're missing a side. So we're using the original functions. Example number 2, we're missing an angle. So we use the inverse. Okay. So I always want you to think about that. What are you missing? Are you missing the side or are you missing an angle? If you're missing an angle, make sure you know that you're using the inverse function. So let's label them just like we did. So number 1, from the angle, let's label my sides. So from the angle right here, what side is my opposite, what side is my adjacent, and what side is my hypotenuse? And I have little popsicle sticks. Hang on. I made popsicle sticks to randomly call on you guys, and I've only used them twice. I just chose Rose. Sorry. Rose, label all 3 sides for me if you would. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. So what trig function, we have a measurement on the 18 and the hypotenuse. What trig function uses AH? Cosine. So we have to use the cosine. The cosine of 30 equals the adjacent side, which is A. So that's the measure 18 over X. So how do I get X out of the denominator? Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, flip the 30 with X.
Trade spots. We're not flipping them. We're just trading them, right? Swapping them out. So X equals 18 divided by the cosine of 30. Okay. X equals 20.8. That's all you got to do. Really. Okay. David, I'm going to you. Example number 2. We know that we're missing an angle. Okay. David, I want you to label all 3 sides from this angle based on this angle. And instead of calling this angle question mark, I hate it that they do that. We're going to call this theta. I want you guys to get used to seeing that. Remember, that's the little circle with it looks like this. Kind of looks like that. That's the theta symbol. Okay. So David, from that angle right there, label my sides A, H, and O. Yep. Okay. Okay. So David, what trig function uses H and A? Yep. Guys, remember the SOHCAHTOA. cosine. So the cosine of theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Now I have to use the inverse function. So the inverse of cosine times 7 over 23 equals theta. Theta equals 72.3 degrees. Good job on that. Thank you. Okay. Are we feeling okay about this? Okay. Parker. From theta, label your angles, like label your sides. Don't be ridiculous because I can call on someone else. I have no problem doing that. Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. Okay. So what trig function uses A and H? So the cosine of theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So now what do I do?
What's that called again?
Inverse. Inverse. I have to use the inverse function. So the cosine of -1 times 9 over 14 equals theta. No shout outs. Parker, put this into your calculator. I want to make sure you know how to do it. It's 50, yeah. 49.99. We're just going to round that to 50 degrees. Are you guys okay with that? Everybody got that? If you didn't get that and you're not sure how to do that, raise your hand. If you raise it secretly, I'll know who you are so I can go help you. Colt, did you just secretly raise your hand? Okay, I'm going to come over there. We're going to do the next one together. Okay, Colt, you got the next one. Okay. Right there. Okay. Switch over so I can stand by you. Here we go. So from this angle, Colt, let's label our sides first. Okay. So from this angle, let's label our sides. We have to do an O, an H, and an A. H, yep. Awesome. All right. So Colt, what trig function uses O and H?
SOH.
So sine. So the sine of 41 equals my O, which is X, over my hypotenuse, 17. How do I get X all by itself? Yeah, multiply both sides by 17. So 17 times the sine of 41 equals X. Everybody should be putting this in their calculator. Pick up your calculator and do the stinking math. 17 times the sine of 41 equals X. No shout outs. Colt's got this one. Thank you. 11.2. Perfect. That's it. Okay. All right. Zach, are you ready to do the next one? Okay. So Zach, from that angle, let's label our sides. Let's label our sides. So what trig function uses an A and an H? Do you guys see why do you see how we're choosing what trig function to use by the measures on the sides? Okay. So which one is it? I'm sorry, Zach. Yeah, and it's called cosine. So we can say cos, but not cos. So the cosine of 16 equals, okay, 15 over X. How do I get X out of the denominator? What do I do with these?
Cosine 16 X.
Yep.
So X equals 15 over cosine 16.
Perfect.
And then you do that little.
No. You only do that little thing when you're looking for an angle measure, bud. Just put that right into your calculator. Pick up your calculator. 15 divided by the cosine of 16. Tell me what you get, Zach. 15.6. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes. I got 10.36.
So can we look at your calculator and make sure that you're in the right mode?
Yeah, please.
You do it. Press the mode button. Mode. You're in degree. So do it again. So hit second. Okay.
Second.
So no second. So you're going to do 15 divided by cosine 16.
I did this
Okay,
second
good.
and
I know you
then
did.
that. Thanks.
Okay. Got it?
Mhm.
Okay. Number 6, Edgar. From this angle, which we're going to name theta, label your sides, please and thank you. So Edgar, what trig function uses the opposite and the adjacent, or the O and the A? Tangent. So the tangent of theta equals the opposite over the adjacent. So we're looking for an angle measure. We got a theta there. What does that mean? We have to use the what function? The inverse. Inverse or arc. Inverse tangent or arctan of 10 divided by 18 equals theta. What'd you get, Edgar? 29.1. Donuts? Peanuts?
I like that.
Degrees. 29.1 degrees. Don't forget about that, okay? Yeah. All right. So are we ready? Number 7. Hey, Garrison, you're up. All right. So label the OA and H from that given angle. And the blank is O. Okay. So do you guys see the directions up here? It says solve the right triangle. That is a very common direction right there. Just solve the right triangle. What does that mean? That means that you have to find all of the sides and all of the angles. Now, let's not make this hard, okay? Let's not make this hard. So I'm going to call this angle right here that doesn't have anything in it, I'm going to call it theta. What do you know about angles inside of a triangle? They add up to 180. And if one of them is 90, can't we just do 90 minus 58 equals theta? So theta equals 32. All right, so we've already found our angles, right? Now we just have to find all of the sides. Let's start with what's given. So we're going to use 58. So if we use angle measure 58, what trig function am I using? What trig function uses A and H? So the cosine of 58, that looks crappy. I got to fix that. The cosine of 58, yes, equals x over 11. So multiply both sides by, trying to get x all by itself. So 11 times the cosine of 58 equals x.
5.82 or 5.82.
So we're just going to do to the nearest tenth. So how about just 5.8? All right. So we need to find this side right here. I'm going to call it y. So how are we going to figure out y? We could do it a couple of different ways. We could use 58, and it's the opposite over the hypotenuse. So we could say the sine of 58 equals y over 11. Or we could use theta because we know what that is now, right? We could say if we use theta, that would be the cosine of 32, because that's what theta is, equals y over 11. What? So which one do you want to use? I want half of you to do this one. Who's my half that's doing this one? Everyone with curly hair is doing the sine function. Yes, sine function is curly hair. If your hair is not curly, you're doing the cosine function. Ready, go. Draco, you're curly hair. Don't even try to fuss it. So Draco, I'm calling on you for the curly hairs. Curly. 11 times the sine of 58. Tell me what you get for that, Draco.
9.3.
What did you get? 9.3? I love that.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay. All right. Straight. You ready, Jaden? No? Okay. Jack, you got it? So straight hair is going to be 11 times the cosine of 32. Put it in your calculator, Jack. 11 times the cosine of 32. Cole, if you're sleeping, I might accidentally trip and elbow you in the back of the head. Shh. I'm teasing. You know I'm teasing. Shh. Yeah. What'd you get, Jack? 9.3 equals y. So for those of you that are just sitting here not doing what I've asked, here's what's going to happen. Shh. They know who I'm talking about. You need to pick up your calculator. You need to try, because what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to do your homework. You're not going to realize that your calculator's not in the right setting, and then you're going to get it all wrong. And then you're going to come to me later and say, what can I do to raise my grade? And I'm going to say, participate in class. It is pretty easy. Okay.
I like your haircut.
Okay. Number 8. All right. Andres, you ready for number 8? I know you haven't been here. Or do you want to phone a friend? Okay, awesome. So from this angle, Andres, label your sides: opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Awesome. 10 is the hypotenuse because it's the good job. So what trig function uses O and H, Andres? Sine. We only sin at church. We sine at school. So the sine of 75 equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. How do I get x all by itself? Multiply both sides by 10. So 10 times the sine of 75 equals x. What do you get?
6.7 or 9.7.
Yeah, I got 9.7. Okay. Let's label this other side, the one that we called the adjacent side. Can we label that y? Is that okay? Colt, what can we do to find y? What trig function can we use? You're trying to find y, and you were given this side. Look, I have them highlighted blue. You're trying to find y, and you were given that other side. What trig function uses that? Cosine. So the cosine of 75 equals the adjacent y over 10. How do I get that all by itself? 10 times the cosine of 75 equals y. Colt, what do you get? No shout outs. Colt, what do you get? 10 times cosine of 75.
2.6.
Absolutely perfect. That is exactly what I got.
Degrees.
Shh. No, it's not degrees. It's a side measure. It's okay. Theta. Trey, theta is up there at the top. Do you see that skinny little angle up there? How? Thank you, Trey. You must have had a deep voice change. Trey, why don't you go ahead and explain that to us? Shh. Explain it out, Trey. How did Carter do that shout out? What did he do? 90 minus what? Equals theta. So theta is 15. Yeah. So have we solved that triangle? Yeah, we know every single missing piece. That's what solving a right triangle is. Okay. Thomas, are you ready for number 9? Okay. So I'm going to call this side right here theta, Thomas. I'm going to call that missing angle right there theta, where the question mark was. So tell me, what do I know if I label my sides? What's my O, my H, and my A?
A is 36.
Perfect.
And the hypotenuse is 11.
Perfect. No label, right? Okay. So what trig function, Thomas, uses A and O? What trig function uses A and O? The tangent, yeah. So the tangent of theta equals the opposite over the adjacent. We're trying to find theta. That means we need to find the what? We're trying to find the angle measure, so we have to use what function? The inverse or the arc of tangent. So the inverse of tangent times 85 over 36 equals theta. So tell me what you get for the nearest degree. What degree do you get for theta? Theta is 67. All right. If theta is 67, I'm going to call this other angle down here. Whoops, not heart. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm going to call it beta. So how do I figure out angle beta? Angle beta. Well, I'm going to do 90 minus 67 equals beta. So what is 90 minus 67? So beta equals 23. Donuts, Tootsie Rolls, degrees. Because I want you guys to say degrees. I want you to get it right. Get it right, get it right. Okay, so all we need to do is find one more side. So I know this is going to freak you out, but why don't we just use the Pythagorean theorem? Or do you want to use a trig function? It makes no difference. Pythagorean theorem. The sides, the legs squared, 36 squared, plus the other leg, 85 squared, equals the hypotenuse squared. Well, 36 squared plus 85 squared is what? 2,521? Oh, 8,000, thank you. 8,521. Take the square root of that, and that will tell you what x is. 92.3 equals x. Well, I think that's stinking perfect. Okay. All right, Nathan, I'm coming to you, okay? All right, number 10, Nathan. I'm going to label the angle that's missing, theta. I want you to label the sides. God bless you. H is opposite the right angle. So H is what? So listen, the hypotenuse is always opposite your right angle. Always. Okay. Remember, that's the one that doesn't change. Okay. So now go ahead and label your other sides from theta as opposite and adjacent. This is theta. So this is opposite and this is adjacent. Remember that the adjacent, this is important for everybody. Remember that the adjacent side touches the angle that you're talking about. It touches the angle that you're talking about, okay? All right, so what trig function, Nathan, uses H and O? Or O and H? The sine. So the sine of theta equals the opposite, 26, over the hypotenuse, 39. Trying to find a degree, right? Trying to find an angle. So I have to use the inverse function. You with me, Will? So the arc sine of 26 over 39 equals theta. So everybody pick up your calculator and figure out what that is. No shout outs. Nathan's got it. So second sine 26 divided by 39. No shout outs. Okay, so can we look? So second sine 26 divided by 39. Okay, so what'd you get? 41.8. Nathan, this is an angle, 41.8 degrees. Good job. 41.8 degrees. All right, so we know one angle. Let's figure out the other angle. Let's do 90 minus 41.8. That equals beta. So what is beta? 48.2 what? Degrees. So missing side. Do you want to use trig or do you want to use Pythagorean theorem? It makes me no difference. Trig or Pythagorean theorem, David? Pythagorean theorem. Okay. So this is the hypotenuse, right? We're going to call this x. So x squared plus 26 squared equals 39 squared. So can I show you what I'm going to do? I'm going to subtract 26 squared from both sides really fast. So in your calculator, I just want you to figure out what 39 squared minus 26 squared is. $835. Oh, 845. Take the square root of that. What'd you get? 49 point what? Oh, 29.06. So we're going to round that to the nearest tenth. That's 29.1. Zach, you're sleeping. I'm going to make you stand up. Okay. You got it? Does everyone have that? We have two more to do. Two more. Okay. So Reagan hasn't done any talking. Aaron hasn't done any talking. Kane hasn't done any talking. And Kayla. So, Kayla, you get to label everything up on number 11. Okay. So, Kayla, what trig function uses A and H? So, the cosine of 72 equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Kayla, how do I get rid of x in the denominator? Flip-flop, dilly-up. X equals 12 divided by the cosine of 72. Tell me what you get, Miss Kayla. No shout outs. Kayla's got it. Naomi, you haven't gone either yet. I know that. I just don't want you to think I forgot you. 38.8, that's what I got. Perfect. X equals 38.8. Parker, get it out of your mouth. I don't want to hear any more of that. Thank you. So let's label this side Y, Kane. How are you going to find Y? What method do you want to use? Do you want to use trig? Do you want to use Pythagorean theorem? I would use trig, but that's just me personally. Yeah, let's use trig. So I have the adjacent side and the opposite side. What trig function is that, Kane? Tangent. So the tangent of 72, Colt, if you're sleeping, you're going to be on my X list. I'm just checking. The tangent of 72 is the opposite over the adjacent. What am I going to do to get y all by itself, Kane? Multiply both sides by 12. So 12 times the tangent of 72 equals y. Tell me what you get, Kane. No shout outs. So did I. That's perfect. 36.9. Okay. Reagan, I have a question. If I were to label this guy theta down here, this angle, because I haven't solved everything, how am I going to find theta? It's a right triangle. What have we been doing up there to find the missing angle? We take 90 minus the angle we know, right? So 90 minus 72 equals theta. What is theta? 18 donuts. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let's see. So Aaron, Naomi, Josue, and Jaden. Aaron, Naomi, Josue, and Jaden. Naomi, what part do you want? Do you want to do the labeling? Okay. So I'm going to call this theta and you label all your sides. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Naomi, what trig function uses the hypotenuse and the opposite sine? So the sine of theta equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. What do I need to do for that, Naomi? Help out, Josue. I'm trying to find an angle. What do I need to do? The inverse function, yeah. So the inverse sine of 28 over 30. So second sine, 28 divided by 30 equals theta. Second sine, what do you get for that, Josue? No shout outs. So if I, 68.9. Yep, that's perfect. 68.9 degrees. Love it. Okay, so Aaron, how are we going to find the other side, adjacent side? How do you want to find that? What method do you want to use? So we used the opposite and the hypotenuse to find theta. We can use, we can do a couple of things. What are you thinking of doing? Because we need to find the adjacent side. What if we use a tangent function? Let's use tangent. So the tangent of what's our theta angle measure now? 68.9 equals the opposite over the adjacent. Aaron, how do I get x out of the denominator?
X equals 28 divided by tangent 68.9.
Awesome. Do it up. X equals 28 divided by the tangent of 68.9. Woo! I told you to keep your eyes open. What'd you get?
You got all of us. 10.8.
10.8. I love that. That's perfect. Okay. 10.8. Naomi, Josue. Jaden, you're up. Jaden, we have to find this angle right here. We're going to call it beta. How do I do that? Say again. That's okay. So what do all the angles of a triangle add up to? How much? 180. Okay. So let's see. I have a 90 plus I have this 68.9 What do those equal? 90 plus 68.9. Fine. 158.9. If you take 180 minus 158.9, what do you get? 180 minus this. So beta equals 21.1. Jaden, can I show you a really easy way to remember that? Whenever you're finding a missing angle on a right triangle, you know that one angle is 90 and 180 minus 90 is just that, 90. So just take 90 minus the angle that you know. And that'll give you that a much quicker way, okay? Good job, you guys.